Welcome back, Ultima Weapons, it's the Night Sky Prince again. Kingdom Hearts 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Putting this game into my PlayStation 2 for the first time, I remember being absolutely blown away by just how amazing this game both looked and played. Though it really wasn't until the HD remasters of the game that I really grew a deeper appreciation for all the things that Kingdom Hearts 2 did. Even more so in its most complete form, Final Mix. It was at that point that I began to realize just how much of a well-built game that Kingdom Hearts 2 actually was. Perhaps more so than any other Kingdom Hearts game in the series. But there is one thing about Kingdom Hearts 2 that will always stand out to me from almost any other game. It's oftentimes underappreciated, but I fully appreciate it. Of course, I'm talking about the playable segments as Roxas during the opening of the game. This opening segment was criticized by quite a few people as being way too slow and a bit too long. After waiting years for this game to come out after Kingdom Hearts 1, they honestly just wanted to play as Sora again, and who could honestly fault them there? That said, with a bit of patience and a closer assessment, you begin to realize that Kingdom Hearts 2's opening is honestly one of the best openings I've ever played in any JRPG. And that's no understatement. But what did Kingdom Hearts do to make its opening so effective that it literally hooks you into the game and makes you stay for the rest of the journey? Well, like any Kingdom Hearts game, it starts out with the classic FMV to a Utada Hikaru song, using symbolic visuals to explain everything that happened leading up to Kingdom Hearts 2. Back in 2005, if you didn't play the Game Boy Advance game, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, you were most likely pretty confused as to who this blonde girl was, and who the character you were even playing as now, Roxas, even was. You see him on the same stained glass window design as Sora at the beginning of the game. The game initiates with one of the greatest strengths that would be used throughout the course of this introduction. These scenes are essentially Sora's memories coming back to him. For some reason, yet to be explained to the player, Roxas is having these strange dreams about our established protagonist, Sora, a guy that he doesn't think that he knows. Playing this for the first time, we aren't sure of his connection yet, and the game immediately starts by creating a sense of intrigue. Who is this guy? What's honestly so brilliant about the restoration scenes is that if you've never played Kingdom Hearts 1 or Chain of Memories, they excellently explain to you everything that's happened in the story so far, at least the bare bones, so that you can comprehend it all. And if you have played the two previous games, you're reminded of where everything left off. The game will be doing these scenes for the next 2 to 3 hours, and they will catch you up to speed. No giant recap video, no watching some 1 hour long explanation video on Kingdom Hearts' timeline, no listening to some YouTuber's theories, or no one telling you that you can't possibly understand this without playing 8 other games. Just simple, intuitive scenes that are broken into digestible pieces so that getting caught up never feels like a slog, or it never feels like you need to constantly Google stuff. The edits are done in a way that create a sense of intrigue for new players and a sense of nostalgia for returning players. When you're finally playing as Roxas, you're introduced to some of the new characters in the series in the form of Hayner, Pince, and Olette. Honestly, it's really easy to feel the friendship dynamic with these kids, but that normality pretty quickly ends as you learn that these kids are accused of stealing. You know, it might be because you guys hang out in the back of an alley. Not that you can't do that, but it might qualify as suspicious behavior. Photographs have gone missing, and you quickly realize that whoever this thief is, they are no normal thief, as they didn't just steal the photos, they literally stole the word. You walk around town, you get to meet Cypher, who is, by the way, still a complete tool just like he was in Final Fantasy VIII. Everything seems pretty chummy, and then all of a sudden you're encountered by this strange looking meth addict who steals your photo and runs off. You end up trying to get it back. You finally found the photo thief, and he leads you to this creepy mansion. You try to hit him with your bat, but he dances around every hit. But then you find yourself able to summon a Keyblade. Does this sound familiar to you? It's a parallel to Kingdom Hearts 1, where Sora was completely useless against the Heartless. That is, until he was able to conjure a Keyblade. At this point, the player immediately becomes aware that the enemy isn't a normal enemy. However, it continues to hint, almost in a subliminal way, that there is a connection between Roxas and Sora. Once you defeat this enemy, the day comes to a calm, and the tension is broken. This template is continuously used throughout the course of this introduction. There's probably a great technical writing term for this, and I'm sure sure there's somebody in the comment section who will tell me what that term is, but it's what I personally call hot and cold tension. This section of Kingdom Hearts 2 continuously hooks you by introducing segments that start off as cold and then completely mount in tension. Everything is normal and everyone seems happy. They're just enjoying their last few days of summer. But something is slightly off. It's not like you can just ignore the events of the previous day, but you can tell that something underlying is bothering Roxas. The problem is that there's no direct way to confront it or address it in any way. And if you try to talk to your friends about it, they'll just think that you're losing your mind. After all, considering the things that are happening, even you think you're losing your mind. But considering all this is happening inside of a data simulation, the only crazy person here is Tetsuya Nomura. Roxas goes throughout his day, and usually something weird happens. And it's just too weird to ignore, and it leads into the next bout of hot tension. What I call hot tension is when the central conflict is confronted directly, leading Roxas' story to come closer to a boiling head. A great example of this cold hot tension is during the struggle competition. It starts off as just a normal event, almost like a slice of life episode in an anime. However, it's during these points where you get to see more development for the characters, and can actually get to know them as people, rather than just getting to know them as whatever the gameplay circumstances call for. Like for example, during the struggle competition, Roxas is matched up with Hayner. Despite Hayner and Roxas being friends, they still share a rivalry between each other. Of course, in the end, you beat him, and the two end up still being friends, and Hayner is still completely supportive of you, further developing the sense of friendship between the two. This draws yet another parallel between Sora and Riku, and yet in another subliminal way, they've pointed you back to the fact that Roxas is part of Sora. Continuing the competition, it suddenly comes to a halt. More of these mysterious white creatures appear. The appearance of time is completely frozen, only making Roxas feel like he's going even more insane. Kinda sad actually, dude already lost his heart and now he's losing his mind. When you finally defeat them, an old friend of yours that you don't have any memories of comes to visit. And you may not have it memorized now, but trust me, you will in the end. Kind of a shame Roxas doesn't remember Reno from Final Fantasy VII. Did Roxas never play Final Fantasy VII? Maybe that's why all this bad stuff's happening to him. Oh, and then this guy is also asking you to come back with him. After an intense fight with Axel, the amount of hot tension cools off. And this is also why you may not have wanted to search Kingdom Hearts artwork for a few years after this game came out, unless you're one of the fangirls and you spent a lot of time searching for that art. The Night Sky Prince doesn't judge either way. The tournament finishes with your fight with Setzer from Final Fantasy VI, who is cosplaying as Prince but role-playing as Hercule Satan, offering you to throw the match for some compensation. Of course, after declining this generous offer, Roxas is victorious. He wins this trophy that has these round crystal gems attached to it. They look like materia. Maybe Roxas did play Final Fantasy VII, and he splits apart the crystal gems, giving one to each of his friends, showing that he didn't just win for himself, he won for the whole squad. But Roxas is still left to wonder what exactly is going on with him. He then demonstrates that he is indeed dumb enough to be part Sora, maybe even dumb enough to be part Dream Drop Distance Sora as he falls off of the clock tower. This all illustrates the perfect example of what I mean by using hot and cold tension, giving you peeks at where the story is going, while simultaneously cooling things off and taking the time to develop the characters, so that when the central conflict does reveal itself and the stakes become high, you actually care about what's going to happen to them, because they actually feel like somebody that you know. Each time they give you these plot points, the game lures you down a hole and makes you ask more questions about what is going on. These types of segments are brilliantly used to create build-up that pays off throughout the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 2. And during this 3-hour opening, it's not just the story that it sets up well either, it's also the gameplay elements. Rather than just dumping a bunch of information or button prompts on you, the game slowly teaches you each mechanic intuitively by putting you in the situations where you'd actually use them. Reaction commands are something that you use a lot in Kingdom Hearts 2, and you learn them through boss battles or even fighting Dusks. They let you understand that using these commands can be incredibly helpful to fights. It even goes a step further and shows you how the Keyblade connects to the lore itself. It's the only weapon that can deal damage to these guys. Roxas is becoming more and more like Sora every day. Every day, more and more of him gets restored, and Roxas continuously has dreams about him. Eventually, Roxas is becoming full Sora, and things are coming to the boiling point. This is where things start to get really good. Blonde Kairi explains to Roxas that that he's actually just Orange Sora, and should have never been born. Axel makes one last attempt to get his friend back, in a very emotional battle in a literal ring of fire. And this is when you get your first experience to dual-wield Keyblades, and holy crap, it is awesome! Going from how Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora played and his animations to this is pretty incredible. But there's something more going on here that is absolutely genius. This functions as a pseudo-tutorial for your drive forms, namely Valor form, and it immediately gets you familiar with how to control this form. It's also the first time you're able to press square into a combo modifier. After that battle though, you are in the end destined to rejoin with Sora and become part of his whole again. And while the bitter ending was tough to face for Roxas, it was a happy, new beginning for Sora. You begin to wonder if you'll ever see Roxas again. You wonder if Sora is aware of all the weird stuff that just happened. And all of this just further pulls you into the journey. While at the start of the game, you may have wanted to play as Sora right away. The game really is aware of this, and at the end of Roxas' journey, you sort of feel bad for having wanted that. Many players even left saying they would have rather played the whole game as Roxas. Because of the alternating frequency of tension that leads up to a great boiling point, restoration scenes that give all players all the information they need to start enjoying the game, and a seamless way of teaching it to them, without having to dump 30-minute YouTube videos explaining the story on them, and its non-intrusive ways of teaching the player how to play the game, make it one of my favorite JRPG openings ever. So Ultimate Weapons, do you feel the same way about Kingdom Hearts 2? Or did you think it was entirely lame? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you really love Kingdom Hearts, I mean really love Kingdom Hearts, be sure to join our Facebook group, Ultima, Square Enix plus JRPGs, the only place where you can shine more than the back of Xehanort's head. Link in the description below.